Okay. So happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you.
Yeah.
No, my gosh, what a week.
Yeah.
So why don't we start a little bit about why don't you tell me about the project itself? Just a little background on the project. Anyone jump in?
Well, I can start. Richard reached out to us, I think, in oh, the beginning of this year about the possibility of doing this, and of course, for me, it was a something that I very much wanted to do, especially with these two amazing saxophonists who I've worked with a lot and respect a whole lot. Um, and with a great rhythm section and a studio in tow, I just thought it would be a really fun project for all of us to play on together, especially because it's three saxophonists that playing the same instrument wouldn't necessarily be often playing together in a small group session like this very often. So it was really a great opportunity for us to collaborate together. And of course, we've known each other. The three of us have known each other for uh, going on 2 decades. Um,
Okay.
so um, yeah, just an opportunity for us to really get together and play each other's music and just have a good time.
So what was that experience like when you got together? Were you in the same room? Was it virtual? Did you record pieces? How did that happen?
It was like in. I'm sorry, Jeff. Shall I go? Okay. Uh, and I do want to add a little bit to what Scott said too, before I answer that question. What intrigued me was the idea that unless I'm wrong, I don't think the three of us have really ever played together as the three of us. Like Jeff and I play together in a couple different groups, and I play with Scott in a couple different groups, and I know Jeff and Scott play together, but the three of us have never done anything
That
together.
was going to be my next question was have you played together? How you've known each other for 2 decades, so have you played the three of you together? So
I think this is the first time we've ever done anything, the three of us.
The only other thing I could think of is possibly a Yes Tet gig, but I'm not sure that that was ever the three of us. We've all done that gig, but I
Right.
don't necessarily the three of us were all sitting there together. So
Jeff, your mic
mhm.
is not working.
Still nothing.
Hmm. Well, while he's doing that, I guess I'll
Sure.
question. So Richard has built a studio in his basement. Um, so when we did the recording, it was we were all together. Um,
Okay, okay. And what was that experience like?
I
Did
thought
it
it was
feel
relaxed and it was
natural?
really
Were you nervous? Like
it was
what was the
really
experience?
I thought it was really easy. It was one of
Hmm.
the more easygoing sessions I've ever been involved in.
Yeah, I would say that's true. You can hear me now, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
All
Yes,
right.
yes.
The constant like switching things around between lessons and two different platforms and stuff. When I get
I
back on
know.
one, it reverts to its preferences from the last time I used it. So sorry about that. I think it was yeah, I think it was very easy. I mean, to to add a little bit to what they said earlier and what Scott said in particular. I mean, John and Scott are my two favorite saxophone players in Chicago. Like if I'm gonna go out and see somebody, I'm gonna go see them. And if I want a reason that I'm going to pick up the saxophone in the morning and practice, it's because they're super bad and they push me, you know. So when John and I play pretty frequently in one band together, and I wouldn't say nervous is the right word, but I mean I feel like I have to be at my best to play with
Hmm.
either one of them, and to be able to deal and just react in time and have the best musical experience. Can't show up sort of half baked. Um, So I wouldn't say it was nervous in any way, because they're also very supportive, generous people, and we've known each other long enough to know we all have good and better days. I never heard either one of them have a bad day, but it's good and better for sure. And everybody just kind of understands that that's part of the deal too. Like, I missed this thing. Okay, no big deal. We'll do that again. We'll do another take. It doesn't matter. It was cool that you missed it in that way. I liked it, actually. Or, there's plenty of support and just accepting of like the humanity of the process. And nobody has to feel like they have to be a superhero or something. You just all go in and be good musicians and support each other and play musically. Is my feeling.
Like it's easy sometimes when you put three or a group of musicians all playing this instrument together for it to like have this sometimes romanticized story of it being a battle, right? And
the hero's journey,
right? And so there can be an element of that, but the three of us are friends and we've known each other. Like I said, going on for for many years, and we've worked together, and so I feel like there's nobody else that I would really want to do this with more than these two musicians, as Jeff said, because I think we all have each other's back. We all really respect each other musically, and we all just want to go in there and make good music. This isn't a competition. This is about making music together. And that's
So you've known each other 2 decades, and this is the first time the three of you have played together. What do you think? I don't know how else to say this. Why so long? Why 2 decades? How has it not come together before this?
It just occurred to me that that's not true, because
it was After Dark.
I was going to say, whenever I've subbed for Wojciech on After Dark.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was going to say that one earlier while my mic was not cooperating. But even that's just in the last 4 years.
Right.
That's a 3 or 4 year old project. So there is a project that was sort of put forward by the Jazz Institute of Chicago to honor Von Freeman, legendary Chicago saxophone player, 4 or 5 years ago. And it turned into a steady gig here at Andy's. That I got stuck leading. And I say stuck because we're all playing the gig. It's all on the bandstand phone, but I'm the one who sends the 1099s at the end of the year. In the course of that, while Scott and I were steady members of that gig, and there was a third person on it, another great saxophone in town, who in fact is on Richard's altoism record, Rajiv Halim. And often John would sub for Rajiv on it, because it's kind of an odd position that you need somebody who plays both alto and tenor very well. And John's one of the few people in town who's equally comfortable on both instruments. So in that context, I think we did several After Darks together. Not a ton, but enough that it was
maybe a handful, right?
Yeah, a handful.
Mm-hmm.
But that's still a long time, considering it was such a long time. And I think part of the answer to that is often there are 2 horns in a group at the most, and then a rhythm section. And if there are more than 2, it's probably a big band. So then it's not just the 3 of you. It's the 3 of you and 2 other saxophone players and 8 brass players. And so then it's not the same focus on the 3 individuals.
Mm-hmm.
So I think some of that's just situational in terms of what patterns normal gigs tend to fall into.
Mm-hmm.
I've always thought we should do something.
Yeah.
I'm not. Richard's the kind of guy that gets things going.
He's an instigator.
Right. I'm not.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. I did a few of those.
Okay, now that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Just having it, yeah. I mean, the fact that he built the studio in his basement and that he wants to keep it, and that he's, that was a big part of it. He was like, "Hey guys, I've got this studio. Let's do this thing. Are you interested?" And we're all like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And he and I played together. And right around this time we were doing another project together, and he actually called me and said, "I'd like to do a 3 tenor thing." And so immediately, to me, the other 2 were obviously John and Scott. And I was so happy to hear the next words out of Richard's mouth were like, "I was thinking about you and John and Scott. Do you think that would be cool?" So I was like, yes, that would be cool.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't even have to talk you into the right personnel.
Yeah.
So it was, I think it was, well, I guess what I'm saying is I think it was clear from an outsider standpoint too that the three of us are highly compatible in that particular way.
Yeah. So when you got together, what was the inspiration behind it? Other than getting together with two other great musicians, was there any other kind of inspiration behind it or anything you wanted to, like, what was the starting point, I guess?
Well, I think, one factor is that we all agreed to bring a couple pieces of music to the session. So I'm sure that each of us is thinking about a couple factors. One, we're not going to rehearse a lot, right? It's COVID. The rehearsal is going to
Right.
consist of the day of.
Right.
Coordinating anything more than that was pretty complicated. And in fact, it puts the session back a couple times too. To wait for everybody to be vaccinated and feel safe to go in, and we play wind instruments. It's it's a
Right.
built-in
Right.
COVID canon. So really, everybody in the room had to feel comfortable doing it. So we knew we wouldn't have a ton of time. You can't write something that's immensely complicated to put together in a day. Yet it has to be engaging enough that everybody wants to play it, and maybe wants to play it again when we go and do the CD release and play a couple club gigs and things like that. It can't be lame. So for
Right.
me, the challenge was finding that sweet spot of writing a couple pieces that we could really rapidly play. From a technical standpoint, that doesn't really limit things very much because of the level of the players involved. But still, you don't want to make it so hard that the session's not fun. You want everybody to be able to relax, close their eyes, and take a solo. To not
Yeah.
think so much about, okay, there's an 11-bar section here and this hard chord passage to navigate here, and then I got to cue this thing. It's too much for that kind of session. So that was really my goal in thinking about the music, was thinking about what John and Scott would sound good at and what we could really quickly sound like we'd been playing for months together, even if we hadn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. It was like we wanted to go in and do it in a day, if at all possible.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what we did. So that included, I mean, we composed the music, we sent out parts ahead of time, maybe gave including the rhythm section, and gave each other an idea of here's my basic idea for these pieces. Here's some music to listen to. If there was, a recording or something like that was just a little demo put together or something. And in many cases, there wasn't. I think we all just through talking about the music a little bit and conversing about it, we're able to sort of get a feel for each other's vision of the pieces, and then we were able to come into the studio and be like, okay, run it a couple times, or in several cases, I think just once, to sort of give a run through. That's the rehearsal, and then go start doing takes.
Yeah.
And I think most of the tunes, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I mean, I think we did 2 takes on most things. We might have done 1 take on one of the tunes or something like that. But
I think just one of the ballad.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
maybe one on one of John's tunes too.
But there was no more than 2 takes on anything.
No.
Yeah,
Wow.
and the takes were. All right, that was good. Or maybe something happened at the end or something like that with the rhythm section, or it wasn't quite tidy or something like that. But the playing was still good, and we were just okay. Let's just do another one.
Mm-hmm.
And then we would move on. So it moved easily and rapidly through the session overall.
Nice.
Yeah.
So as artists, we've all been through a huge, huge experience with COVID and everything else. I know.
Yeah.
How do you, I guess just kind of briefly, how would you describe your experience and how it affected you as an artist and coming into this recording?
John.
I guess I'll go first, I guess. The one thing that the pandemic taught me, and I know all 3 of us also teach, so that's been kind of a big, that we've been impacted quite a bit in that way as well. It helped me get some clarity, I think, on what's important to me in terms of music and moving forward, what it is that I want to do. So I've kind of reached a point where, you have all this extra time on your hands,
Right.
and suddenly you're like, well, I'm not busy like I used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like just last week, I got called for something that I kind of was like, I would be just doing it for the money. I don't really want to do that. So I'm not doing it, And I think I've kind of come to the realization that what I want to do is make music with people that I want to make music with, that's musical, and creative. And I want to spend my time and energy doing that.
Mm-hmm. Scott, Geof, how about you?
I would say that I felt really busy. While it was all going on because uh, I have two younger children at home, and so they were going to school virtually, and I was teaching 3 universities virtually as well, and including some last minute pivoting, of course, last March and whatnot, and so. Um, yeah, I definitely the Zoom burnout thing is real.
Yeah.
Um, and I felt like over the most of this past year, like I was struggling to keep up and keep doing things well and keep everybody fed and all that. And I really, really, really missed playing music with people.
Yeah.
And that was really hard. And it was that was hard to navigate, just on a sort of a personal and emotional uh,
Yeah.
level, while still having a lot of plates in the air spinning that I'm trying to take care of at the same time. um, and so it was yeah, it was hard. I would imagine like just about anybody you would ask would say that. um,
Mm-hmm.
and so I was thrilled to have something like this project coming out of it to look forward to,
Yeah.
play with these amazing musicians and to play their music, and to make a record and have some sort of uh, tangible creative output that is coming on the heels of what has been a very difficult
Right. Right.
on a lot of levels. So
Yeah. And Geof, how about you?
Yeah, I would say like my experience is somewhere at the intersection of Scott's and John's. I teach college, but I teach at one institution, not three. I have a kid, but they're 18 and getting ready to go to
Yeah.
college, so it's a very different experience. But there's still a bit of that similar juggling, and I had colleagues on sabbatical I was covering from. So I hear what Scott's saying about feeling really busy on the one side, with the Zoom thing and so on. I know John was too. He was talking about a different kind of busy because, for God's sake, he's teaching high school on Zoom. I would have put a knife in.
I've never worked harder in my life.
Yeah,
Wow.
right. I mean, I might have put 2 knives in my eye. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's already like I can't imagine getting up and doing that most days of the week, and certainly not looking at their empty cameras on Zoom. I mean, yeah, I think I would have just struck a deal with them saying, let's just call it a day and pretend we did. It was hard enough at the college level where I was hybrid and in person about half the time, which was good. So, but I mean, same. All of a sudden, after decades of like these two of being just hyper busy on my instruments, sometimes so much so that like I had realized before this started that I was just I was approaching in some cases like running myself into the ground, bouncing from teaching, sleeping very little, to playing several nights a week. For like 8 years in a row, I taught Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in the mornings out in DeKalb, an hour away, but I had a Tuesday night steady that went until 1 a.m. So I'd have one night at least, maybe 2 or 4 hours of sleep, and then go teach a full day and make the drive both ways. and then continue to work the rest of the week, which I don't think is too much different than a lot of jazz musicians' schedules. But I'm 50, 51 now, and it was really starting to take kind of a physical toll, not to mention the mental toll of, I'd be doing what I love to do, yet I don't have all the energy and faculties I need to do it because I was getting so worn down. So COVID provided a break from that, and one of my goals is not to go back to that, but rather, like John's saying, to channel the energies I have into the things that matter the most to me, musically and otherwise. So it remains to be seen whether I can do that, because as most people who know me well say, I've a hard time saying no to anything that remotely interests me. And a lot of things interest me. So it just kind of creeps up, and the fall's already pretty full. I can see it heading for the yellow zone at this point. But it's hard not to say yes after coming out of a year and a half of not being able to do anything. I was like,
Right.
yes, I want to play.
Right.
Same.
Yeah. So what do you think you'll take with you from this experience of playing together? What do you think the future holds for the three of you? What will you take forward, and what do you think the future holds for you playing together?
Well, hopefully more playing opportunities. I think, if this is what we can do in one day of playing together, then I can only imagine, what we could do with more time playing together and more inspiration from these musicians and also the members of the rhythm section and whatnot. So to have, to just have more gigs, more opportunities, whatever those may be, whether those be local, but I think, we want to look broader than that as well. I think would be a lot of fun for us to continue to make music together and to keep, writing music for each other to play. And I really look forward to it.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I agree. I think the point of making a recording like this is sort of a first step to then instigate some other opportunities, to create some other opportunities, like, a week whether it's a week at the Showcase, a weekend at the Mill here to jumpstart it, maybe a steady at some point. And it's a larger group, but it's not so large that you can't get in a couple cars and drive, up to Michigan or up to Wisconsin for a gig here and there. It's not unnavigable, and it's large enough that if something's like a jazz quartet, well, there are a million of those, so sometimes it's hard to attract a little more attention with something that is a really common format, a piano trio, a saxophone quartet or something. But you have three of the same instrument in the same place, there's already like a little talking point there, and it's like, oh, well, I'm gonna go see this all these great tenor players who are coming through town in one place tonight, or whatever it is, or a festival might think, oh, okay, this fits our programming, three tenors kind of thing. Like it just creates enough of something that's different from what you usually see to possibly create some larger opportunities.
Great. John, you agree?
I don't have anything substantive to add to that.
Great.
I didn't either. I just kept talking anyway.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for meeting with me today. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. And best of luck on future projects and playing together. And it was great chatting with you.
Likewise.
All right. Thanks. Have a great weekend.
See you, folks.
All right.